we can sound like 100 even if we were just 20. My name is Dwayne Williams. I am a consultant for the Integrated Initiatives Consultant with TCC Group, which represents ViiV Healthcare. And so on behalf of ViiV Healthcare and TCC Group, I am happy to open up this space and explain to you a little bit about who we are and what we're doing. As a part of our efforts to expand the community without so much direct service, but really talking to the quality of life and how we can sustain together and build together and empower together and grow forward. The ViiV has committed itself to making sure that there are that they meet the community at their point of interest. This particular branch of the work, Mother to Son, everybody say Mother to Son?
Mother to Son.
Mother to Son is, it's interesting because it started off with just as a visual opportunity. And you'll see that there are like palm cards, and you can visit the website. And you'll see portraits of mothers and their sons. The interesting thing, though, is that we don't just focus on biological families or by blood, if you will, but also chosen families. And so this is the first opportunity, or the first panel featuring only chosen family. Y'all should clap. That was your cue clap. And the premise of all of this is really to say that each one needs one, right? And essentially that mothers and mother figures, chosen or maternal or blood, are essential to how we take care of ourselves, how we move forward in life, how we build together. And so we want to not just celebrate the sons, but this is an opportunity to celebrate the mother figures. There are surveys in your seats. I'm going to ask that everyone complete the survey. I promise you it takes less than 3 minutes to complete the survey. Once we are done, if you feel moved to the middle of the conversation is going on. All right, next part is, the final part, is that as an effort to make sure that there is localized leadership, we have what we call community captains. Everybody say community captains?
Community captains.
And I'm happy to say that my chosen son is the community captain here in Houston, and it's no one better to do it. And so I'm going to bring up the manager who's going to talk a little bit more about Mother to Son, but also introduce his panel. And I'm going to encourage you to continue to encourage him and to continue to look out for Mother to Son events. And if you want to know about our Black women's work or our Mother to Son events or how to get involved in sponsorships or anything of that nature, you can reach out to myself or DeAndre. But please put your hands together for our community captain here in Houston, DeAndre Wood.
Thank you, Dwayne. Y'all, I'm Dwayne Tyke, sitting down, no shade, so I'm gonna take my seat at this. I'm looking out right here. Thank you all for showing up early. I know most of y'all, not all of y'all are here for the wall that we said we started earlier. We're gonna start with this conversation because it's really important to have. I got started in this work as a model of what Mother to Son looks like biologically. My mother, who is like my best friend, my number one person in the whole wide world, who I argue with, fight with all day, but can't nobody else do that because that's mine. She has been my biggest support system since I've come out. Well, not say that. When I first came out, she wasn't. She didn't know how to deal with it. I come from the South, a little town outside here called Beaumont, Texas, very country, along the Bible. And so it wasn't until I got an HIV diagnosis that my mother began to show up and she began to be more prevalent in my life. And she realized that her being in my life was a matter of life or death for me. And that's what it was. And so her showing up for me, her being there for me, has been really influential in my life. Before I get into everybody on the panel, why I chose this panel, coincidentally, over the last month or so, I have been facing some trials with my biological family, right? I've had my actual cousins. I've caught them on video that people have sent me, them talking about me so bad and so nasty. As of recent, last week, I was supposed to go on a Christmas trip, Christmas vacation. I was paying for everybody. Like my brother, my sister-in-law, my niece, and my nephew. They were all supposed to go until my sister-in-law decided that she didn't want me and my partner are in the same house with them, although everything is already paid for, and their kids, to be showing affection in that space. So they count on me. Most heartbreaking thing I've had all year. But if nothing else, what this all has shown me is that blood only makes us related. It does not make us family. And I'm so thankful for my chosen family, for the people who I have in my life, who have supported me, who have been there for me, and who show up in gaps when others don't know how to show up or how to let me down. And so, I don't think it's a coincidence. I think it was fate that this panel was decided before that any of those events had happened. I'm just going to give an opportunity to go around the room and let our panelists introduce themselves. The two on the couch really do not need any introduction, if any of them do here on this panel at all. But I'm going to start right here from my left to right here, so right here, Courtney. Introduce yourself first. Tell us who you are. Tell us, the nature of your relationship with your mother, your chosen mother.
Good afternoon. My name is Corey, 26, from Atlanta, Georgia. I reside here. Well, I don't reside here, but I will reside in Houston, hopefully soon. I reside in Chicago currently. Jazelle is my chosen mother. What can I say? It's a lot I could say, but I'm gonna keep it, I'm gonna keep it cute. But I feel like our relationship is very imperative for me because she helps me through my bad times, my good times. She's always a voice of reason with me. Even when I don't want to hear it, she always tells me the stuff that I need to hear. So I feel like that's what the principle of mother is. Someone who guides you and nurtures you regardless of anything that you may or may not go through. But yeah, I love her to pieces. And yeah, I'm a mama.
Give a round of applause for that, please. Y'all make sure it's the right thing. We'll make sure you get ready to on the stage because it takes courage for them to respect us. Everybody's not used to the limelight, so we appreciate you. Thank you for being here today. Jazelle, Tisci, icon, overall mother. First, I want to if you have anything else you want to add to that. It's so many times I want to add to it, but I want to hear the nature of your relationship, your perspective, and what does it mean to be a mother in our life?
Well, thank you. I'm not an icon yet.
In our lives, right? You're an icon in our lives. Yes.
No, but my name is Jazelle Barbie ROYALE Tisci. I'm the overall mother of the house of Tisci. I've been the overall mother for the last 4 years. And in that time, I met Cordy. And some people are, house members, and then some people are people that you get an organic, relationship outside of ballroom with, and that was the case with him because he shares parents with myself and Pampers, with Pampers being his father. But before him, my first gay child was when I was at the age of 16. I had my first gay child, and they were probably about 15. So we essentially were, the same age. However, I had more life experience, and so just speaking to more than just Cordy as a whole, just all of my children as a whole. Being a chosen mother has a lot of responsibilities, but there's a lot of things that I feel like a chosen mother can be present for that a biological mother may not be competent and may not have the tools to be able to pour into someone in our community. So yeah, that's just a little bit. I don't know if dive in.
Bravo. We're gonna keep it going. I'm gonna start off with Caleb Garçon first, and let Caleb start, then we'll come back over towards Twiggy.
Okay, hi everybody, I'm Caleb Garçon. I'm in the House of Garçon, a leader in the House of Garçon in this chapter of the Gulf Coast. I actually told Twiggy that she was my mother. It was on stage in front of Cindy Lauper and a whole bunch of other celebrities in the room. She saw something in me and helped me get started in doing the work that we both have been doing for a very long time. And the mentorship, it felt organic. It wasn't forced. And I was picked to do a speech, and I got in front of everybody, and I said, Twiggy's my mother, and that's that on that. And you know, it's honestly been something that was very necessary for me. I mean, we'll get into it later, but at the time I was really struggling, and you know, having someone to really help guide me and put me on a path that would really kind of start my life in a different direction. It was so meaningful and necessary, and she took that role, and she did it well. She's been doing it well ever since.
Thank you. Now, the icon, can I say icon? Is icon? Okay, that's what I thought. Okay, icon. International House of the International House of Garçon, Twiggy was on. So Twiggy, same question for you. You want to introduce yourself? Anything you want to add to that? But tell me about the relationship. What that means for you to be a mother, not only to Kayla, but in the house itself and all of your other chosen kids that you have, the meetings that you have.
Sure. Twiggy, I am a new resident in Houston now. I have been an international mother of house Garçon for a year. I was the overseer for that. I've been involved for 20 years. Kayla and I's relationship started outside of home, actually. Laura came later. We met at the U.S. Conference on HIV and AIDS 10 years ago this year. Our relationship spurred from that. And then Marlon happened, where Kayla came into Marlon after that. Our relationship with Kayla is similar to my relationship with all my kids is one of nurturing. And, you know, I'm a hands-on and hands-off mother at the same time. I'm like, my kids are adults. They call me when they need me. It's the same approach my biological mom has with me. And also my kids know what I was trying to say. So.
Bravo, you just mentioned something, and I'm going to just bounce around a little bit here, but you're just looking forward to talking about your biological mother. What role did your biological mother play in molding you into who you are? How was your relationship with her, and how did that help you become the overall mother that you are today?
It was rocky at first, but now my mom is one of my best friends. We're very, very close. My mom also has a relationship with my gay mothers. They talk all the time on their own. They have their own thing going on, totally outside of it. She travels and spends holidays with us, so she loves to go outside. She's always asking about my kids, so we have a really good relationship. My mother is a Cancer and is very sensitive and very, very emotional, and so I think growing up that helped me develop emotional intelligence very early and allowed me to be very empathetic and sympathetic to people very, very young age. Similar to Jazelle, I became a great mother very early as well. So yeah.
Well, I appreciate that very early. Jazelle mentioned, you know, becoming a gay mother at 16, but in our years, in the LGBT community, that can be a lot. Between 15 and 16, that's 10 years of that some people would, so I appreciate that. Same kind of question with you, if you don't mind sharing the relationship that you may or may not have with your biological parents, your biological mother, and how that may have shaped who you have become as this mother figure, as this mother in this community. Was there anything that you learned from that, or that you saw and you said, I'm not going to make those mistakes, or I'm going to do something alike, or anything along that line?
Well, if you ever get to meet my mom, you'll, not only do we look just alike, but a lot of her is me. So when you see me, when I'm not out being the socialite, the regular me is like very much my mother. My mother's a Taurus. And she didn't party, she didn't drink, she didn't do drugs, she didn't do any of those things, still doesn't. And she was like the good girl that went to school, but you know, I think the only negative thing I tell her is jokingly. The negative thing I can say about my mom is she always had like poor choice in men. That's it. Like that's pretty much it. Like yeah. But anything else, like I got all those things personal. But coming out, I remember when I came out twice. So the first time I came out, it was weird. I never came out really as gay. I came out as like, I told my mom that I had got a job. I told my mom I had got a job impersonating Whitney Houston. And that was like kind of like my way of, you know, that was like my way of kind of like telling her. And then one day, I had an estrogen bottle, and we had wood floors, and the door was high at the bottom, so things could go under. And my hormone bottle, I kid you not, like I was at a bowling alley. My hormone bottle rolled down the hallway, up under my mom's door, like it was like meant for her to go. And she called me by my dead name, and I said, "Ma'am," and I walked in, and she said, "Pull your shirt up." And I was like, "What, Mom? What?" And I put my shirt up, and she was, I won't go into detail. She said, but in those moments, I knew that coming out, all I cared about, I didn't care about my aunts, my grandmothers, all I knew was I wanted my mom to accept me. And if I had her acceptance, I didn't care about anybody else. And so I had that from her. The first couple of months was she would say little off-putting things, but she quickly acclimated to it because my mom was the first person to show me a transgender person. When I was 7 years old, she was showing me her yearbook and just showing me all of her different friends and things like that, and she showed me this one person. She said, this person is now a woman and whatever, and I was like, okay, it just kind of stuck with me. And then 3 years later, we went to church at my stepdad's church, and this lady walked in. She went to the front row, sat down, and my mom leaned up. She said, "Remember, she said," and the entire church service, I watched her. I didn't hear any music. I didn't hear any preaching. I didn't hear anything. I watched her every single move, the entire service. And so years later, fast forward. When I came out to my mother as, trans, that's how I explained it to her. I said, you're from Marissa. I said, that's what I want. That's what I want to be. And I think that was easier for her to digest for some reason. But my mother is the balance that I have. My father was not in my life. I always knew where to find him, how to contact him, but he was just not a present parent at all. My grandmother, the party girl. So when you see me out, I'm the life of the party, that's my grandmother. So those two individuals and my aunts are the people that molded me. So they were very important for me to have in my life. And I can't imagine what my transition or life would have been like if I didn't have their backing and their support. So my heart goes out to people that don't get the support of their families, because I know what it's like to have, and I can't imagine not having it.
Bravo, I appreciate that. Thank you for sharing that. So, I love how you tell the story about how going back to what you knew as a child, about her telling that story about her friend. Because I know for me, it was my dad. Coming out to my dad always relayed things to Magic Johnson. So when I came out, the first thing he said was, well, it was like, he's gonna be upset. He said, well, Magic Johnson got a gay sign, so maybe it's okay for me too. And so when I came home and I said, I have an HIV diagnosis, he went to Magic Johnson. He said, well, Magic Johnson got it too, so it'll be all right. It's cool too. So I'm reminded of that. I love how, we can make that connection with our parents. Caleb, you talk about, I want to hear about a time, you went into how Twiggy has been there for you, really briefly just on, when you really needed them most. Was there a defining moment in your life over these last 2 years that has made you look at Twiggy so much different? What was that defining moment that was like, this is what I need you here for, that right moment that just made you have damn, if it wasn't for you being here right now, this moment, this is it. And I'm actually the same thing when you start thinking of it.
Okay, that's a hard question. There was multiple moments, if I'm really being honest. I think what made me say okay, this is my mother is I was homeless and in the streets of DC outside, and she told me that I had been nominated for this thing called 40 Under 40, which represented there's about 40% of youth, it's more than that experience homelessness every year are LGBTQ. And so this 40 Under 40 was like some honor that kind of promoted those youth who were experiencing homelessness. And for me at the time, because of what I was going through in my struggle, not only my experience with homelessness, but I had some other shit that was going on, relationships, and it was a lot. It was a lot. So I was feeling really down on myself. And after being nominated, she said, you know, I'm starting this group. It's called the National Youth Forum on Homelessness. So this list was one thing. It's just like a list that goes out. But she said, I want you to do the work. And I was like, you want me to do the work? Like I had dropped out of school, dropped out of college. I was not really sure what was going to be next for me. I did not have any indication as like what my career path is going to be. And she told me, she said, I want you to do the work. I want you to lead doing the work. And I was like, you really feel like I can do that? You know, somebody who does not have a degree, somebody who does not have a background, and you know, I want you to be part of this inaugural group. And from there, she began to mentor me and pour into me on a daily basis. You know, like, make sure you do this, talk to this person, have this conversation. And one of the things that my favorite things to do, if you ever get a chance to go with Twiggy to a conference or just watch her work the room. Just watch her work the room. And that alone is inspiration. It has been inspiration for me for a very long time. And it encourages me and feeds me to be able to step into my life and step into what she believes that I'm capable of. Because before I ever believed that I could be in a position that I am today, she believed it. The same thing in terms of Garçon. Before I became a leader in this house, before I stepped into that role, she saw me being a leader. And she said, okay, when you go to Texas, you're going to take over the chapter. And I was like, girl, what? I was like, you want me to do what? Like, because in terms of ballroom, I had kind of played a background. And what she saw it in me, and she's always seen it in me. And I think that is that's when I knew that this is my mother. Like, because she sees something in me that I don't see in myself. And it's the same thing that I'm blessed enough because of her to be able to provide to my kids. A lot of times they're feeling like, okay, I ain't got it in me, Pops, I can't do this. I'm like, yes, you can. You're capable. And you have support. You're not by yourself in this. And it's only because of the love that she has shown me that I'm even able to do that. Because even though I love my biological mama to death, that is not something that she did. Just like you said at the top of this, like, you know, they don't have the capacity to be able to pour that into you. That is everything that I was missing at home, I got right here.
Bravo, thank you. And that's personally glad to say to you, we don't ask the question that Caleb loved us from you, because for a simple fact that every year for the last maybe 5 or 6 years or so, me and Caleb have gotten so close. Caleb is my best friend, my chosen family, all of these things. And I used to think that Caleb liked me. We had a spat at the beginning of our relationship because of the USCHA conference. These girls just had to say I had a sex tape out. Somebody was sending it. Now, if there is one, I ain't never saw it. I keep asking for it. But they said I had one. They tried to tell me that it was Caleb.
You know, I said
I can't turn it around, y'all. So I was like, what? And then the girls had to pull the same thing on you. And I said, wait a minute, we might be the same. It ain't us. But every year we go on a trip around this time for Caleb's birthday. It's been a tradition. We leave the country. We get on a boat somewhere. We do all these things. And this year, a couple months ago, I said, Caleb, what are we going to do? And Caleb said, I don't know if I'm going to be able to do this for my birthday because we got Twiggy's birthday. And Twiggy wants to go to Paris. So I got to make sure we go today. And so Caleb has given their birthday to make sure they get it for their mother. And I think that's just phenomenal. So bravo to you for being so selfless and giving up tradition to be there and to support your mother and that. And that's amazing from my eyes. And you have a few minutes to think about this, Cody. So same question for you is, you know, was there a moment in your life, you know, since you've been under Jazelle's wing and under, you know, as her son, that has made you just have like that aha, like, damn, like, this is why I needed you here?
Most people in the queer community, I have an interesting story. When I was 14, I was actually kicked out of my household for my mom finding out that I was sexually attracted to the same gender. It's not a secret. I'm a very transparent person. I feel like I'm troubled at times. Sometimes that bleeds on social media. So I do remember upon really getting a great rapport with Jazelle, I used to post stuff on social media like I was gonna get a breakup, I was gonna make people happy. So Jazelle had messaged me one day. She was like, "Why do you post all this stuff? You're too handsome to be doing all this stuff." And so we talked on the phone, and we talked for like approximately 3 hours on the phone. And I was like, "Oh, maybe this lady literally does care about me, and it's not just, you know, innocent." Like she really, like that conversation showed me that Jazelle was a humanized person. And from that moment on, I feel like we really thick as thieves, so yeah.
Okay, trouble back a little bit. Go to answer to that, you want to say something? Was that?
If I add to that, well, I'm the type of person like this. It's very, especially in ballroom, pageantry, drag, all of that, it's really easy to get caught up on the superficial, and sometimes people want to just be your child because of the spotlight or this or that. I'm very much like that scene, when I'm not doing this, I'm very much like that scene of How to Get Away with Murder, when Viola take her wig off. That's me at home. And that's who I want my friends, my family, my kids. That's the person that I want them to know, because that's the real raw me. And they can appreciate me when I'm glammed up like this, but I try to give them the real raw me because I want the real raw them. I don't, who I am is not an act, so I want them to know who I am. And then when we get done, we get cute, we cute, you know?
Bro, Twiggy, was there a moment for you that just kind of defined your relationship, you feel like, or that kind of made you look at Caleb in a different light, bro?
As Caleb said, tons and tons of them, but I'm reflecting on the opposite end of the journey where Caleb, so what happened eventually is, yes, Caleb joined, became a non-member of the National Leadership for Homelessness, and then started working full-time in True Colors, and then became a director at True Colors, and then became the chief program officer at True Colors United. And I think that was the moment that was like, yeah.
I just want to say that that's really dope. I think about how, a lot of us in this field or in our lives, we overachieve, we go above the extra mile, and kudos to you, Caleb, for achieving that, because for somebody who's experienced homelessness, who's been homeless, did not finish college, does not have a degree, to still become somebody's chief program officer at a nonprofit organization, at a national nonprofit organization, is just amazing. So kudos to you. I'm going to spin it back to you, Jazelle, really quickly. There's a level of responsibility I feel like that comes with being parents too, outside of just, the going out and just the rough moments that your kids might have or might not have. HIV and sexual health is a big thing, right? Especially in our community. That's like one of those things. It's oftentimes the quiet elephant in the room. It's the one commercial that they seem to always play when we finna get it on for some reason. It just knows that when there's two or more gathered in the room, that commercial, if you got it on YouTube or something, that commercial is coming on to tell you about Big Target. Or about PrEP, I don't know why. But the fact that we're all these drugs and stuff, so it's crazy. Like they literally know when it's two of us or more inside of the room. How has being a mother figure in this life, how have you managed to communicate wellness overall, including mental health, sexual health and wellness, to not just Courtney, but to all of your kids, to your house? Like, how have you made that prevalent and been a leader in that aspect, if you can talk about it?
Well, if you follow me on social media, follow me in my history, one of my life platforms is health. Not just sexual health, just health in general. There are a lot of silent killers, especially people of color. There are a lot of us that we walk around and that we have hypertension. And hypertension is a silent killer, and it causes other things. People to get strokes, heart attacks, kidney failure. All of it misses with a lot of things. And so if you don't have access to insurance, there are places to go to where you can get access to health care, and you can get a checkup to see if you may have diabetes or any of these things that can be treated and prevented with certain lifestyle changes. But as far as sexual health, that is something that I have instilled in my kids and my friends, because coming out very young and transitioning as young as I did, I saw a lot. And I came out in a time, I've been out, next year will be 22 years that I've been out. And 22 years I've been out in this community, and so a lot has changed. I came out in a time when people were still using the word sick, or he's sick. Or if you did drag, or you do drag. Or that, when they use the word transy. Or that's a transy. I came up when that was the lingo back then, and I saw when I was 1920, my first friend passed away from AIDS, full-blown AIDS. He was 2 years older than me. And I got to see the quick decline of him. And it went from him being regular to being a skeleton and having to digest that at that young of an age, and then having to look over at him in a casket. It stuck with me. And then my friend that I was sitting with at the funeral, I had to look at him a year later in the same state. And so, but to rewind, I know I may be a little long-winded, but I'm letting the plane. But 16, 17 years old, a group of friends of mine, we all decided to go to get tested. It was a group of us. And, we're just, free-hearted, because we're 17, and we just want to go get tested. And one of my friends came back reactive. And it happened to be one of my closest friends. And that right there was life-changing for me. And I had to be strong in that moment. Even though I was scared, but I still had to be strong for that person in that moment. And it changed my whole perspective about it, because here it is, my close friend has to deal with this. So now we're dealing with this, because it's not just a you thing, it's an us thing now, because I'm going to be along on this journey with you. And that person is still here, alive and well, and they were diagnosed during a time when a triplet was still being prescribed. And if you know anything about triplet, a lot of people had really bad side effects from taking the triplet. It was rough. I know some people that still aren't quite the same anymore since taking it, from the nightmares and this and that, And so that person came up during that time when drugs were a little scary, but they did what they had to do to survive, and they've still been doing it. I've been there every step of the way. And so because of those experiences, I instilled in my kids the importance of sexual health, being tested, but now, more recently, I would say in the last 7-8 years, I have really pushed PrEP and PEP. I almost lost a pageant because I was in question and answer. I talked about PEP, and everybody in the audience was like, "Oh, she don't know what she's talking about." They were chuckling because they thought I was saying PrEP. And so it took someone to go and Google it and take it to the judge and say, "She knows what she's talking about," Otherwise, I would have lost the pageant, because they thought I didn't know what I'm talking about. But that was one of the single most important things, because I thought about, when I found out about PrEP, I thought about all of my friends that are no longer here that did not have that opportunity. And if we had this resources and this technology, and not technology, but if we had the medications that we have today, how many of my friends would still be here? Or how many of us, I thought about how many times I made bad choices and had to live with it, and had to just wait those 2 or 3 months to see what it's going to be, But now we have medication where you can make mistakes and then, exactly. And so I really pushed that a lot, and I pushed her a lot. So I worked at an HIV clinic for about 3 years. And in that time, I not only was I working in the HIV clinic, I was also working in the nightclubs as well, hosting the shows at night. So I was in the thick of everything. So I knew where to find it, who was doing this and who was doing what. So I knew who to reach out to. And so there were so many people that I was able to get on PrEP. There were so many people that I was able to get into treatment. And then also having the power of the microphone, I was able to help try to erase stigma as much as possible and normalize people going to see about themselves so that they didn't have to feel ashamed to go see about themselves. Because That is what kills people. It's stigma.
Stigma. Thank you so much for that. I really appreciate it. One thing I would say is that I want to thank you for talking about PEP and PrEP right now, because even there might be somebody in this audience right now who may have never even knew what PEP is, so they're gonna go Google it. And there might be somebody who's watching online who might have only heard of PrEP, but because you mentioned PEP, they're gonna go figure out Google and see what that is, and you might be helping to save somebody else's life or change their life. And I'm thankful that you have been so knowledgeable and you've been in the field, like a peer navigator, support, caseworker, all those different things without even being what they would say qualified for it. You did it because you cared about your community. So thank you for that. And I really think it's important that we also take a moment and give and pay homage to all those the women of trans experience, because you really are the backbone of our community. You're the reason why we can be here. And you guys don't get the privilege you deserve oftentimes. Oftentimes you're silent. You just show up when you can. You know, oftentimes it's always it's MSN, it's gay men, it's these things that don't necessarily represent who you are, but you continue to show up. And so I'm thankful for that, and thank you for being here. Pass it over to Twiggy. And just to hear your experience when dealing with your kids or with your house overall and talking about sexual open wellness. Because one thing I know that I do this personally is that CDG, you guys have an advocacy with your group, CDG Pro, and it's so amazing to watch how much y'all are active and how much involved you all are when it comes to things as such and being involved in the community. Can you kind of talk about the advocacy component of you being a mother and how you instill that in all of your kids, and including sexual health and wellness?
Yeah, I mean, being a mother is being your children's best advocate, right? And I'm not saying in spaces where they're really not there, but as far as what Griffiths was saying, similar to Jazelle, I worked in for a very long time since high school. I worked in public health, I worked in housing, I worked in racial equity. So like all of my professional career has been movement work and organizing work. But within the house of company ourselves, we have CDG Pro, which is not just an advocacy division, it's all of the folks in our house that do a bunch of different things. Some of those people work in policy and advocacy, some of those people work in public health, some of those people work in entertainment, some of them, so.
Thank you for that. And if people want to learn more information about CDG Pro, about Corner or something, where can they find you guys? I want you and I want the House of Tisci to know about you guys' social media too.
HouseofGarçon.com.
Okay.
And just House of Garçon across
Social media. Okay. Jazelle, you want to?
Yeah, House of Tisci on Instagram.
Okay. Cool. So just a couple more questions, and as we continue these conversations, I know it's very hard to say, but I want to remind us that our sponsors are actually online. I want to be sure that we do not mention any medications by name. It's okay, it's okay, but let's just make sure that none of us do, because again, and I want to give a special shout out to ViiV Healthcare, who has put on this initiative. Can y'all give me a round of applause? Because without them and without their support, there's no way that we can be here, there's no way that we can do all this for our community. So with that too, remember, all of you should have a postcard somewhere near you. I need y'all to fill out those surveys, please, because those are going to help make us ensure that we can continue to do this throughout next year as well and for years to come for our community. So the next question is for Jazelle and also for Twiggy. What is one piece of advice you would offer to other mothers seeking support on how to affirm their children? What is something you would give to a new 16-year-old mother out there that just came around, but she had some little 14 and 15-year-olds running behind them? What advice can you give them in their new motherhood?
You know, it's so different now. You know, you can get on YouTube and learn how to do everything these days. You know, we didn't have YouTube and stuff when I started, but be relatable, be authentic, especially if you're very close to age. Don't make it a competition. Be supportive. Like my daughters, I love my daughters. I don't have a lot of kids, but I can use my daughters as examples. Like if I was to leave here today or tomorrow, I know that they are going to do what needs to be done. And part of that is because of the things that I instilled in them. I didn't necessarily take them by the hand and baby them. I sometimes show more of a tough love. You know, Akila, Peach, aka Felicity, they know how to get in there and do their own makeup. And when they get ready to walk a ball and they want to walk face off, they know how to do it themselves. Because that's what I instilled in them. Like, get in here and learn how to watch me, learn how to do it because I'm not going to do it for you. And now they come to do it, you know, better than I do. You know, they really, they mastered it. So yeah, that's what I would just say to new mother, you know, just really empower them.
Yeah, I think being a mother is really about mirroring, being a mirror to your children. I think to Kayla's point, the thing that I am sure and intentional to do is to allow my kids to see what I see in them, to reflect back their divinity. Like if you don't see your light, it's my job to be a mirror for you to see your light. You don't see your leadership, it's my job to be a mirror for you to see your leadership. And for folks to have that place to affirm who they are for themselves.
And you know,
Go ahead.
and I think even when it comes to like Courtney, one of the things that stuck out with me was, yeah, he may do all that stuff online, but he is highly intelligent, and so it's only little small things that I have to do to kind of contour and guide him in certain directions. But when it comes to intellect and knowing how to be professional, and this, he has all of those. You know, he just can be a little boy happy sometimes.
That's okay. It's all right. Don't worry about that. It's okay. Yeah, you know what that is. So I'm going to pass it over to my last questions. This was going to go to Caleb and then to Courtney. So the message around Mother to Son is about telling stories about, you know, stories of our lives, about power, about resiliency, about vulnerability. How does that messaging resonate with you? What is you know, how does being resilient, or how does being vulnerable and empathetic, how does that resonate with you as a child, but also as a teen too, who she's, you know, I said kids, and it's a lot that you got to.
Yeah, I got different mother. She got a lot of kids, so I guess I do too. I think as it pertains to empathy, that's like one of the essential skills in order to be a parent for my kids, at least. Like, I have to, they don't always tell you like how they feel. Sometimes you just have to, if you get that sense, you get like, something like, I don't feel this. You text them like, hey, what's going on? And they always, you have to cry a little bit, but you have to tap into it. If you don't have it, I feel like it really can be learned. You know what I mean? But you really have to lean into that and allow yourself to really understand. I think one of the hardest things for me to do is be vulnerable, because I don't like to talk about when I'm struggling. And I think this is a lesson I'm even like currently kind of navigating, because I have some insecurities just like we all do. Y'all won't see it on the runway, so don't think y'all will. But you know, I got insecurities, and my kids most of the time they think I'm Superman. They don't see that, and so I've been allowing a couple of them, a couple of them into, you know, a little bit of what I'm navigating in terms of insecurities. And you know, the same thing is always saying, I never know you're going through that. I always think you got all together. And it honestly has really kind of brought us a lot closer together. And I think it's really helping develop our relationship, but it's not something that's really natural for me. So it's something that's really forced. And I can't remember the other word, but on about resilience. Resilience is something I wish we didn't have to be. I wish it wasn't necessary to be resilient. And I'm very fortunate to say that all of my kids are absolutely resilient. They've been through so much, and you will never be able to tell. And I'm still learning, you know, things. I'm like, wow, you know, and the fact that they even have to be that, you know, the fact that they face rejection in their families, and you know, face homelessness because of their families, or they lost their mothers, or they lost their fathers, or never had their fathers. Like, all of that is things I wish that wasn't necessary for us to be, but it's feel like, especially as Black, queer, trans people, that is the one, it's in Texas, that's one thing that we have to be all the time. And it's a beautiful thing that we're able to tap into that. One of the things I was just saying to my kid last week, my son, I said, one of the things that's really beautiful and remarkable about him is that as much as his mother and his father, who was non-existent, put him through, he still loves unconditionally. And it's so many of us, my mother, we have been through so much with our families, with people who are supposed to love us and protect us, and yet we still allow ourselves to open ourselves up to be in close families, to take in people who we don't necessarily have relationships with, and develop organic relationships with, and guide them. That's remarkable. That's the magic of being Black, queer, and trans in this motherfucking country. And I'm really, really grateful for that, because that magic is what has built Ballroom, is what has built so many relationships, and has saved people's lives in our community.
I appreciate it. Thank you, Caleb. What do you got someone to add to that? About what, how do those things resonate with you about being, empathetic, resilient, yeah.
For me, resilience is very paramount in my life. I have a tag on my heart. Resilience to me is overcoming any obstacle that comes your way. So, I dealt with a lot of obstacles, and I feel like I wasn't raised that well personally, but I still managed to exalt love to everyone in my life. So that made me strong. Excuse my language, motherfucker, in my opinion. So, yeah, and I'm very empathetic to others. I even have their kids, and when I get parents instead of me, I try to pass it down. And, I believe in generational values and generational actions. So, yeah, that's how I feel about it. And I feel like if you're not inspiring somebody, or if you have a child and you don't set them up for success or for them to be better than you, then you're not parenting to the best of your capabilities. So.
Bravo. Jazelle, Twiggy, if there any final words you got, I'll leave our panel with as we get ready to wrap up. If there's anything you want to say about this initiative, the Mother to Son, this is the first time Mother to Son has had a full chosen family, of especially focusing on ballroom mothers and kids. Bravo, that's good. And hopefully we can continue to do this in other cities as well. So that's my goal for here, is to see how many people we got here. So that's why it's important for y'all to do those surveys, please. So that we can continue to do this in other cities, in Dallas, in DC, and Atlanta, and some of the other places, New Orleans. But what is something that you want to leave folks with here today?
Well, first of all, I want to thank the both of you for inviting me and having me be a part of this. I also want to thank ViiV, and I also want to say this. I know a lot of times that we talk about politics and we try to give these warnings, but I've been following politics for some years now, and I'm really heavy into it. And these next 4 years are going to be a mess. And I don't know if you all believe it or not, but it's going to be a mess. And trans people only make up 1% of the population. That's the same amount of people that are the wealthiest people in the world, not that many. And so, out of all of the things that are going on in the world right now, they're targeting us first. And I'm saying that to say, these are safe spaces for us. And the only way that we're going to continue to be able to have safe spaces for us to exist is if you all continue to support us. And support looks like this right here, you all showing up and being in attendance. We have organizations and pharmaceutical companies like ViiV that are willing to back us, but we have to do our part. So continue to show up. That's all I can say. Show up, because these next 4 years we're going to have to go back to our roots. I don't even know if we're going to have to throw bricks again, but if we have to, I will. So that's my last word.
I appreciate it. Thank you, Jazelle.
I would really piggyback on what Jazelle said and add to that. I think that so many of us take these moments and these places for granted. We take ballroom for granted. We take the opportunity to meet with each other for granted. We take Black joy for granted. And yes, ballroom is fun. Yes, the competition is bad. Yes, we're giving out $7,000 today. And when you step onto that ballroom floor, it is not just about you walking the category. You are saying to yourself and to the world that I am someone, that I am worth this moment, I am worth the effort I put in to hit this runway, and that I am somebody. And so my last words are really to not take that moment, these moments, do not take ballroom for granted, and do not take these opportunities for granted.
Bro, thank you. Taylor, you got any words? What's up? You got any words to add to it? You got some last moments to leave some words on the floor. Good? Okay, cool. Well, so y'all, as we get ready, we're wrapping up here, we're gonna get ready. Y'all gonna see us, we're gonna move some furniture around in here, so we need all of y'all to get up in just a second. But before we go, I think it's really important that we let people know how much we appreciate them and give them their flowers. So before y'all go, I'd like to for all of y'all also really quick. You guys so much for taking time to be here. This is really important to me. It's important to y'all too, otherwise you would not be here. And thank y'all too. I usually would open the floor for Q&A. It's quite a bit of y'all, but instead I'm going to ask y'all more time, so please scan the QR code that's in your chair or near you. Just leave us a few words, please. It really does matter. It means a lot to me. Stanley, come this way. And it's just, we're thankful to have y'all here. Get ready, leave it all on the floor tonight. We're going to have some fun. Make sure you hit the bar, get what you need. Make sure you have a bracelet so you can get in and out of here.
The other thing is the section the section 16 is our house section. So if your house is not in a section, please do not sit in your section.
And you still can purchase a section. So if you are a house that just arrived and you want to purchase a table, I think we may have one maybe two left, and they are still for purchase, and they do come with finger foods and drink tickets. So come see myself or Twiggy.
And if you guys, about a lot of things we're talking about tonight, I also want to shout out some of our sponsors who had came in the last minute when they showed up in a big way. Ian had out, and on our TV. Y'all make sure please. If y'all have any resources around you or any help with any of the things that we talked about here tonight, prep, legacy care, mental health service, any of those things, see them or see anybody else struggling with homelessness or anything. See somebody, just reach out to us. We'll put you to the side and get out of a conversation. We're here for y'all, right? Y'all enjoy yourselves and let's have a good time tonight. Let's do it.
Thank you. Please like, share, and subscribe to the Tens of Tribes Television Network. Come back in about 10 or 15 minutes, and we will be starting LSS for the ball, Battle in the Bayou, by the icon Twiggy, Garçon, and the overall mother, Jazelle, Tisci.